Om Gyantimirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumanitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pacharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Kirtan 50 Ki Jai. There's a dentist in the group, so I don't feel worried about getting my teeth smashed out by the mic. Have our good friend here. Reflecting on Kirtan 50 for the past few days, knowing that I was going to address this esteemed group of aspiring Vaishnavas, I had a few thoughts. And one of them is how we are here today. What is what would you say, the conclusive truth of how this event actually happens? We know it was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that the chanting of Hare Krishna would go to every town and village in the world. But how that would happen was unknown, because Lord Chaitanya himself traveled in South India, Vrindavan, Benares, went a few places, but it was always known that this chanting of the holy name would go far and wide by the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Patita Pavana, Savior of the most fallen. Somehow or another, through the transcendental arrangement, as Srila Prabhupada would call it, through our disciplic succession. I heard an example this morning of the disciplic succession that I really thought was pertinent or very poignant. And that is that we take a look, some nights we can see the moon. And if you have a, what do they call that? Telescope, complex telescope. Of course, we don't do it on the full moon because it's too bright. You do it when it's a crescent moon because then you can actually see it. And you have one lens, and then you can see a little better. And you put another lens, a complex telescope, and it becomes a little more clear. And then a third lens, it becomes more clear. And a fourth lens, it becomes more clear. And this illustrates our disciplic succession. How each and every member of this society is meant to be part of that disciplic succession. It didn't stop with Srila Prabhupada. It doesn't stop with his disciples. It won't stop with the disciples' disciples or the disciples' 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 disciples. It's just going to get more and more clear on what this world really, really needs. And that is the holy name. Lord, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, could not see anything but the holy name resurrecting society. Because the holy name, Aushadhiya Maya, the holy name of the Lord is the medicine. It's actually the medicine that's meant to cure the evil ills or the challenges that we face in this world. We heard the story of Nityananda crying for Subal. Were you here? Yeah, we heard the story. And how Lord Nityananda Adi Guru, Lord Nityananda Adi Guru, once in Atlanta, 1975, Srila Prabhupada mentions, you cannot understand the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda's compassion is so great that it is unimaginable. As Gauravani was explaining, Jagai and Madai, they were so sinful that we don't talk about it. We don't even mention it. One of the forms of prajalpa is talking about sinful activities that may have happened, or have happened, or will happen. We try to avoid that. Although the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam says that we can reflect a little on our previous life, but only a little, just to remind us of the suffering condition that we were experiencing at that time, but not enough to entice us back into that environment. Because we're all the addicts. We have AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous, and here in Kalachandji Dham we have SGA, Sense Gratifiers Anonymous. And we're all addicted. We're so addicted that we don't even know it. We've seen this type of example on the streets throughout the world, where people are so involved in the intoxicant that they don't even know they're involved. And that is a pitiable, pitiable condition. But yet that is our condition. That is our exact condition. Because we are under the control of the material nature. We're originally all Krishna conscious living entities, and somehow or another, by misuse of our free will, we've chosen to place ourselves under the stringent laws of material nature. Stringent, it's like a durantiya. Daiviyesha gunamayi mamamaya durantiya. It's a prison. I've been to prison before for Prabhupada several times. Accused of aggressive battery with intent to kill. Although we don't use those type of means in this age, we only try to spread the holy name and conquer them that way. But we have this opportunity to, we can use the word escape in a positive way, in the sense that if there's a house on fire and somebody is running out to protect themselves and somebody says you're just trying to escape, it doesn't make any sense. Of course you're trying to escape. The house is on fire. What else are you supposed to do? And so this material nature, very, very, very powerful, and rules exactly as it's meant to do. Nothing has happened to us, nothing will happen to us that wasn't meant to happen to us. And the sooner we can understand our responsibility in this lifetime, the sooner we'll be able to understand how we're meant to utilize this human form of life to free ourselves from this stringent laws, this overwhelming thing. Even Arjuna was bewildered. Artikena payuktoyam papam karati purushaha anichan api barshena bala eva niyojanaha. By what is one impelled to sinful activities, even if, as if something else is causing it. It's not even my own desire, it's something pushing me forward. It's pushing me forward to engage in activities I don't even want to engage in. Very beautiful verse, isn't it? And Krishna says, Raja, somebody help me. Rtadhvaja Raja Guyam. It is the most sinful, this lust or this desire. Sometimes Prabhupada is very strong and he calls it lust, and sometimes he says desire. Now the strong desires that accompany us in this material world. So we have this opportunity, I said this before, I'm trying to get to this point that we are engaged in activities forcibly by the modes of material nature. Prakriti kriyamana ni guna karma ni sarvashaha ahankara vibhudatma kartaham itimanyate. That the bewildered spirit soul thinks themselves to be the doer of activities which they are being forced to do under the control of the three modes of material nature. No, I did not choose to buy a silver car. I did not choose to buy a red car. I did not choose to buy a blue car. My mode of nature in my consciousness said, get the silver car, get the blue car, get the whatever color car. But we think, I'm choosing it. We are so bewildered that we think that we are making these choices in our life. But in actuality, these things are being forced upon us. But the idea is how to get free from this. So the verse after Prakriti Kriyamanani is a very interesting verse in Bhagavad Gita. And it states that bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and in sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruit of results. There's another verse in the 5th chapter, Yehi sangsparshaja boga dukkha yonana evate. That those who are intelligent, they don't engage the senses in the sense objects, knowing that they are causes of misery. We think when we engage our senses in the object of the sense gratification, we think this is the source of pleasure for us. But this is only a bewildered condition. It's a bewildered condition because that doesn't satisfy us. It causes misery. And what is that misery? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi. The misery is that if we become attached to anything in this world, we will be, again, forced. Very, very strong word, isn't it? Forced. Nobody wants to be forced to do something. But yet we agree to force ourselves to do something that we don't want to do. That's why the verse says, fully ignorant, not knowing what is what. So the knower of the absolute truth is actually convinced. If we can come to the point of Krishna consciousness, if we are the knower of the absolute truth, then we can know that we are in a very awkward position in this material world. Practically speaking, I work a lot with young couples now. Teenagers have become too rambunctious. No, I still love the teenager. I love everybody, actually. But the they're always trying to emphasize protecting their children from this, protecting the children from that. But if you really want to protect your child, give that child Krishna consciousness to the fullest of your ability. Because Krishna consciousness is the only safe ground in this material world. There's no safe ground. And someone who is convinced of his awkward position, that person knows the absolute truth. And we know that we're my vangso jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. We're all fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And that should not be our position to be in the material world. We're not meant to be here. How many here have heard the story of the fish out of the water? 1, 2, 3, okay. After raising your hands in kirtan for 40 hours, it's hard to raise them up when you're questioned in the Gita class. So we know our real identity is part and parcel of Krishna, and we know that we are eternal, and we have true knowledge, and there is a sense of happiness. But what happens is that we recognize when we have this knowledge. We're going to go into the 4th chapter after the 3rd chapter, and we're going to learn a lot of knowledge. And we have that knowledge that we're somehow or another became entrapped in this material conception of life, and that our pure state of existence, now, what we do with our existence, what do we do now? We dovetail everything in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We dovetail our activities. Jat karoshi, jat adnasi, jat dahosi, dadanti yat. Whatever we do, whatever we give away, whatever austerities we perform, whatever we do that as an act of at least appreciation. One form of love is appreciation. Least appreciation for Krishna. For Krishna has given us this opportunity to utilize everything here in his service and become freed from the complications that this world, what would you say, engages us in, forces us to engage in. Isn't it unusual to be in a place that we're not supposed to be, yet we think we're in the right place? I'm reading 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is kindly instructing Uddhava. Very wonderful, wonderful section of the Bhagavatam. And in that section, it's described that a person is dreaming. Anybody here dream? Okay, now we're getting a few. We have a dream. Anybody have nightmares? So you're having a dream and somebody's chasing you with a stick or whatever. And then you wake up and you think, oh God, it was only a dream. And that's what it's like, experiencing all these things in the material world. We're in a dreamlike condition, thinking that this is good and this is bad. This I want, this I don't want. I like green, I don't like blue. I like blue, I don't like orange. That's what I tell people, don't make my room all orange anymore. When you're a sannyasi, you come into the room, there's an orange rug, there's an orange blanket on the bed, there's orange sheets. They give you orange flip-flops. They give gifts of orange socks. One time in 1976, I was doing the Christmas marathon, and we were so enthusiastic, I had walking pneumonia and didn't know it. So after the marathon, I finally realized I had pneumonia, I had something. So they sent me to the emergency room, and the attending physician said, "You drink a lot of carrot juice?" I said, "No." He says, "Why are you so orange?" I said, "I'm a brahmachari." He didn't know what that meant. So we dovetail our activities. We can dovetail anything. Practically speaking, we engage ourselves in activities of Krishna consciousness, and the result is that we become unattached to the things of this material world. Vishaya vinivartante niraharsha dehina. That we may be restricted from the sense objects that we're used to, and we still may feel some attachment for them. But giving up these activities and utilizing these same activities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, padam distva nidartante, that we gain a higher taste. We gain a higher taste. And we have to have a higher taste to give up the lower taste. And in order to get the higher taste, we have to follow the system which gives us that higher taste. It's a very simple process. We complicate it. We can make it so complicated, it's like inconceivable. I can't remember whose kirtan it was. I think Gauravani Prabhu, and you were talking about, oh yes, and Achyuta Gopi. We need to get a mantra for Mars. We need to get a mantra for Saturn. We need to get a mantra. We need so many mantras. But as they were stating, that the gopis chant Hare Krishna. It's in Krishna book. When Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela, the gopis were going around Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. They didn't even notice Narayan. Narayan, they asked him, "Have you seen Krishna? Which way did he go?" Imagine if you see Narayan, you're going to ask him for directions? This is a level of bhakti that's very uncommon. It's a very, very unique level of devotional activities. And so we have this festival now, which I'd just like to conclude a little bit from this third chapter, that it's described here that we engage ourselves in activities of Krishna conscious and naturally become unattached to the activities of the material senses. And it describes the nature of the material senses. The body means senses. 13th chapter of the Gita explains that the body means senses. So when we talk about the senses, we're talking about our material body. The 5 working senses, especially the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, and then everyone's favorite friend or enemy, which is known as the mind. Yes. The chariot of the mind. Pajadi hara karma sarva partha manogatim. The chariot of the mind. Arjuna asked, how do we know somebody's situated in transcendence? He says that a person who gives up all attachment to these different activities of the mind, chasing us here and there, and finds themselves firmly fixed in the heart, firmly fixed in knowledge. They no longer suffer the material energy. Prasadi sarva dukhanam glani bharati. That one who is situated in Krishna consciousness is no longer affected by the 3 modes of material nature. He finally comes to a level of peace and tranquility within the heart, which is all everybody is really looking for. But we think we can find it somewhere else. So the nature of this body and the senses is all circumstantial and temporary. We find ourselves in different circumstances. We hear in the Vedic literature there are 8,400,000 species of life. And there's many lectures where Prabhupada says, exactly 8,400,000 species of life, not 8,401,000 species of life. He says the Vedas is very exact. So we know our conditional life is under the control of the Supreme Lord, and we can actually become detached from the, what do you call it, the effects that the material energy places upon us. And we have that opportunity. It's just like, as I was saying, in the beginning we reflect on this wonderful Kirtan 50 festival. My dear friend Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj says that this is his favorite festival, and he's the festival man. So you can know, and he's honest. He's from Tennessee. So how this whole thing happens? By the desire of Krishna, by the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the compassion of Lord Nityananda, and the entire Panchatattva. The other day we were singing Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Gaura Bhaktivinoda. The devotees of the Lord, they're like touchstones. And anyone they touch has the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. But when we go through the lineage that we have that brings us here this weekend of the New Year's, we can't escape or not mention His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When we think it's inconceivable. Of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself predicted that there will be a person who will appear soon that will deliver this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu far and wide. We know that to be Srila Prabhupada. We know the life of Srila Prabhupada. We know once he got the instruction of a spiritual master to teach this message or share this message with the English-speaking words, it went deep into his heart. Vyavasyatmika buddhir ekeha kudanandana. That those whose minds are focused, centered. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a commentary that one should make the instructions of one's spiritual master one's life and goal, and not deviate from it. So Prabhupada took that, and we know that he mentioned that at that time, if there's any wood or floor in front of you, consume it. Remove it, or whatever you say. There are people in the back of the temple that are trying to get in. Ambarish Maharaj said that by touching the devotees, one utilizes a sense of touch. So we know how Srila Prabhupada what would you say, embedded that instruction deep within the heart, and how he strived so much to get this message out of India. He even tried in India to make a league of devotees that would take it. But the league didn't work. And he took it as Krishna's message, I have to go to the West and make Westerners into devotees. So we know there's a time when Prabhupada would explaining when he had a dream of a spiritual master, several of them, take sannyas. You know what Prabhupada said it was? Horrible. In the Bhagavad Gita, in one of the purports, he says that taking sannyas is not easy. He said, to give up one's family is very, very difficult. But Lord Chaitanya, at the age of 24, gave up and took sannyas so that people would hear his message. So people could hear his message. They weren't hearing. But at that time, the sannyas was very, very respected. And people started to hear him. And so Srila Prabhupada went through this process. And his godbrothers, several, encouraged him, and he took sannyas and gave everything up. Of course, we know he was living in Vrindavan and doing the Back to Godhead magazine. Krishna Surya Sama Anda Adhikara. Wherever there's light, there cannot be darkness. That was the motto for Bhagavad, Back to Godhead magazine. And someone told him, don't do magazines, books. Write books. So he began that, what would you say, life's desire to translate Srimad Bhagavatam. And once he had 3 copies, he said, now I'm ready. Now we're ready. Now he had to get passport. He had to get visa. He had to get a ticket to America. So Krishna, to demonstrate the tenacity and the determination that Srila Prabhupada had to fill the order of a spiritual master, arranged for a very, very unusual trip to America. Upon a steamship, not a luxury liner with a swimming pool with slides, but a steamship with a little cabin inside, experiencing 2 heart attacks, saying that if I have one more, I won't make it. And then having a dream that Krishna was rowing the boat. And the sea became as calm as it had ever become. The captain of the ship said, I've never seen the ocean like this before. And he gets to Boston Harbor and he sees America. And what does he see? Imagine. I have friends that they want to go to Boston. They want to see Boston. I have friends that have lived in Boston and said, what a wonderful place Boston is. When Srila Prabhupada saw the skyline, or the, whatever you call that, at the harbor, he thought, Krishna, how are we going to convince these people so engaged in the mode of passion and ignorance? Because you have to come practically to the mode of goodness to understand spiritual shastra, spiritual knowledge. We have to be situated at least touching the mode of goodness. And he prayed, how will they understand this? He couldn't see how. So what do we do when we can't see what to do? We pray. My dear Lord Krishna, if you so desire, you make me dance, you make me dance, you make me dance. Of course, Srila Prabhupada knew no one, knew practically nothing of America. Situated in Butler, Pennsylvania, started preaching at the YMCA, any place that he would get a chance. Of course, we know how the story ends. Where Srila Prabhupada ends up at one point at Dr. Mishra's yoga center in the uptown, or whatever you say, however you say that in New York. Upstate New York? Yeah. Uptown. That they say that Allen Ginsberg said that most of the Swamis were going uptown Manhattan to live with the posh people in all their fancy buildings, and Prabhupada was down in the Bowery with the meth heads and this head and that head. and the no heads, but the all heads. I invite you to take a look at Srila Prabhupada's lectures in February, March 1966, where he's preaching Krishna consciousness to Dr. Mishra's students. I listened to one the other day. It was 2+ hours long. Prabhupada was explaining everything piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And people were questioning this. And it was like simple things. It was simple things, like they were trying to understand the Sanskrit words. Prabhupada was so patient. Of course, we know he moved down into the Lower East Side and ended up going from house to house. He said, practically, I was homeless. I had no fixed position. And then a few young men gave him an apartment and a place to preach. And preach he did. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Bhagavad Gita classes, or classes on Krishna consciousness. And in the morning, Chaitanya Charitamrita classes. If you want to have a very nice experience, listen to those morning classes, 1966 in the summer, where Prabhupada, with just a few disciples in front of him, explaining the intricacies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission for the world, the mission for the world which is given to him. So this is the result of Srila Prabhupada's effort. We should all have an unpayable debt to Srila Prabhupada. Because we're literally wandering on the street. We're literally wandering on the street. This morning, His Holiness Bhakta Bringa Govinda Maharaj was telling about how he wanted to meet the devotees. How he's hankering with. He went to a concert and it didn't happen, but all the people went. Somehow or another, the band didn't show up. So he met the devotees, and the devotees said, chant Hare Krishna and take prasad. And he said he's in. Tamal Krishna Maharaj has to be mentioned in this assembly because it was his vision that established this wonderful community. And that vision is being manifested more and more as we see this community grow and becoming more and more solid and more impactful to this world. Krishna is all attractive, and the devotees are meant to be all attractive also. We're meant to be like Krishna. When I was taking care of Tamal Krishna Maharaj when he had prostate cancer, I was his nurse for several months. And I told him, one time, I didn't know anything about Hare Krishnas. I heard one thing, but I didn't know it was Hare Krishna. I just heard that there were some people on the West Coast that went out and played drums and cymbals when it rains, and that's the only time they bathed. I thought, whoa. I at least bathed every day back then. So I had a house, and there was a few flowers in front of the house that I had planted. So I didn't have to mow the lawn. You just sprinkle flower seeds around. And some young man comes to the door. And I was a musician. I'd been at a show the night before. Got in about 6 o'clock in the morning. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's waking me up. And he said, can I have some flowers for our altar? I said, yeah, whatever you want. Whatever's mine is yours, and whatever yours is mine. Whatever, man. And then I go back to sleep within seconds. And he knocks on the door again and he says, "Can I have a knife?" And I look him up and down. Pink hat, pink jacket, pink shirt, pink pants, pink socks, pink flip-flops. And I said, "This guy looks harmless." Plus, I have a 160-pound Great Dane dog that will protect me. So I said, "Yeah, just put the knife in the mailbox when you're done." I wake up at 5 o'clock, go to the fairgrounds where Rtadhvaja are being, giving darshan to the world. And the boy comes up to me and says, "Remember me? When I went outside, all the flowers were gone." He didn't take one or two, he took the whole yard. And I thought, whatever. And then I met this young man at the fairgrounds, at the, whatever they call that midway, where all the rides are. So remember, yeah. He said, "Here, take this incense." I said, "Dude, man." Oh, we didn't say dude back then. "Hey, man, you don't owe me anything. Whatever's mine is yours. Whatever yours, and just don't worry about it." And Vishnu John was singing on the stage. Then he said, "The meaning of this song," and I thought, yeah, right. And turned around and walked away. Didn't notice they had shaved heads, dhotis, tilak, unusual this, unusual that, and just walked away. And then 4 years later, I get in a car wreck. No, 2 or 3 years later, I get in a car. I smash my car. I go to the hospital for 5 days, major concussion. I come out, rest for about a week, and go for a walk. And I walk into a house of a devotee's brother. I needed a drink of water. I knew they were I was vegetarian. I knew they were vegetarians. And I walked in. There was this big pink picture of the Super Soul, 4 arms. Old one, the old pink picture. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "That's Krishna, the Lord of the Heart." And I said, "Okay, I believe that." And then they gave me books. And the first thing I read is, "Animals go on 4 legs, they eat, sleep, mate, and defend. And human beings go on 4 wheels, they eat, sleep, mate, and defend. What is the difference?" And I thought, what is the difference? 3 months later, I'm in the temple. I wasn't like Radhanath Maharaj, who hitchhiked all the way across Europe and the Middle East and climbed the Himalayas and bathed in like ice cold Ganges water, or Bibi Govinda Maharaj praying to meet the devotees, or Giriraj Swami wanting to drop out of school in his last semester to go to India to find a guru. I'm a happenstance. But I'm very, very happy to be a happenstance. Because right now we're feeling so much joy in this festival, this Kirtan festival that's been so well organized by our older youth. I was speaking to one young man, middle-aged, no, not middle-aged yet, mid-30s, and he said, "Maharaj, we're always going to be the youth." I said, "We got youth in their 50s. So Krishna consciousness is the fountain of youth. You just have to be born into it, then you're always youth." So Tamal Krishna Maharaj set up this program here, and just seeing even the younger, I've known most of the ISKCON youth for many, since Gauravani was maybe 10 or 11 on the way to martial arts hiding from me. I thought, no, go. And now seeing the young youth. The other day I was just watching all these young boys and girls chanting with their whole hearts. They're like 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 20, 21, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 sitting on the bench in complete happiness. And we can get to that place. And as I attend these kirtan festivals, wherever they're happening, I can honestly say that we're getting closer and closer to Krishna at each and every one. We just have to make ourselves open to receive this holy name. We have to receive the holy name. We have to invite the holy name. If we can just surrender unto Krishna, all the obstacles of life disappear. Machita savadurgane mat prashada tadishasi. If we become conscious of Krishna, all the obstacles we can overcome. We all have obstacles. We all share obstacles. And we all have the ability to remove ourselves from this if we just unite in this Harinam Sankirtan movement. So I pray you all have a wonderful 2024 ahead of you, and that you all receive the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, our entire disciplic succession, Shishi Gaurnitai, Radha Kalachandji, and that we make this Kirtan 50, 2023 something exceptional, and we move into 2024, and we can't wait for next year. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Rtadhvaja Swami Maharaja ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. Would we like to ask one or two questions, or?
I have a lot of questions. You're the president?
We'll open up for one question, because we're...
Well, I think Rasika Rani is leading the kirtan tonight.
Yes.
I used to bury Rasarani in pillows when she was 2 or 3 years old. Oh, sorry, Rasarani. I know better than that. I won't go into detail. Sorry, Rasarani. I've learned that lesson like 35 years ago. Don't talk about a young person in a crowd. It's not polite. So I apologize, Rasarani. Okay. Yes, please.
Sorry, one second. There's people listening online.
I find the word dovetail interesting, and I know, to surrender all your deeds to Krishna, but can you extrapolate a little what that is, what that looks like, yes, thank you.
I can try. Dovetailing is a carpentry method of bringing wood together, where you make a board bigger and you splint it together. Dovetailing. And so we bring things together that way. So we dovetail our actions. So whatever you do, if you're a violin player, you play violin for Krishna. If you're a business person, you do business for Krishna. If you're a carpenter, you do carpentry for Krishna. And it doesn't mean that you give up your daily occupation. It just means that we bring Krishna into our occupation and utilize that occupation to come closer and closer to Krishna. Krishna told Arjuna that Antakeli chamam, that if you can think of me at the time of death, you'll come. Then yam yam vapi smartam, whatever you think of, you'll come. That's where you'll go. So Arjuna's a little concerned. He said, I'm on the battlefield. If I don't think of Krishna while I'm fighting, how will I go back to Godhead? But Krishna told him that, don't worry, just perform your prescribed duties. We all have prescribed duties according to our psychophysical nature. Someone is a business person, someone's an administrator, someone's an educator, someone's a helper. And we utilize that talent that has been given to us by Krishna, and we utilize it for Krishna. So whatever we earn, we use to help spread the Krishna consciousness movement. We invite colleagues to our home to have prasadam, and that's how we dovetail our life. We dovetail our life. And we utilize this life in the service of Krishna. So in 66 Prabhupada say, just add Krishna. Don't have to change anything, just add Krishna. Then we took it to the extreme for a decade, and now we're coming back to normal. Just add Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Kalachandji, Radha Kalachandji ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
His Holiness Rtadhvaja Maharaja ki jai.